Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. The troops of Sha Kingdom, under the compulsion of the power of the world, had previously fallen into the wilderness in utter panic, devoid of any resistance. But when they heard Luo Feng's voice between heaven and earth, they breathed a sigh of relief. This terrifying existence, Luo He, is indeed most merciful, and didn't vent his anger on us eternal true gods. If he had been more ruthless, perhaps a single thought might have annihilated us all. The eternal true gods of the Sha Kingdom's troops were rather grateful. Godly King Luo He is truly merciful. He didn't involve us. The many cultivators at the primal chaos realm of Sha Kingdom also experienced a bout of terror. Although they all had some resurrection carriers, the complete annihilation of their true bodies and the loss of treasures would still be heartbreaking. Under normal circumstances, a godly king would not bully the weaker. But during a war between two countries, the methods of a godly king would be much more merciless and cruel. Some godly kings would carry out indiscriminate slaughter. For example, during their conquest of enemy countries, the Emperor of Tien Kuan from Sha Kingdom would completely flatten the enemy king's territories, leaving no creature alive in the royal capitals. Others used the wars as an excuse to vent and devour numerous cities. Still others, like the ancestral god of the Snow Realm, would often instigate massive crimes even in times of peace. Therefore, for these weaker ones, during a war between two countries, Luo Feng did not take his wrath out on the weak. He was definitely one of the most merciful among the godly kings. Godly King Luo, he has given us one day to leave quickly. The war has escalated now, it's beyond our ability to intervene. One by one, the cultivators at the primal chaos realm took initiative to withdraw their troops and quickly made their way. With just the troops, escaping from the boundaries of Yu Kingdom in one day would indeed be difficult. But with the primal chaos realm cultivator leading the escape, the speed was much faster. Luo Feng's power of the world enveloped 12 primal chaos prefectures, creating a huge commotion that was noticed by all the powerful beings of the land of origin. Has Luo He, who has just become a godly king, managed to control the range of 12 primal chaos prefectures? Noted the godly kings of Flame Wind ancient country, and even a few emperors were paying attention. Considering the scope of his power of the world, it's undoubtedly reached the invincible level of the first realm of a godly king. Without any external help, reaching the invincible status in the first realm of a godly king is indeed possible for a few in the current era. But to achieve this step right, after becoming a godly king, in the history of the land of origin, Luo He should be the third one. The first one was Earth God King, the second was Emperor Qing, and now the third is Luo He. Although Earth God King is at the second realm of godly king, he is capable of fighting beyond his level with emperors and monarchs, even surviving being surrounded and attacked by multiple monarchs of Thunder ancient country, and still remains unconstrained to this day. No need to mention Emperor Qing. The potential of Luo He is terrifying. The godly kings of Flame Wind ancient country, who mostly haven't cultivated the primordial bloodline, are still very clear-headed and rational, knowing that it's better to form an alliance with Luo He rather than making an enemy of him. Another powerful loner cultivator has emerged, since the godly kings of Thunder ancient country, noting the situation in Yu Kingdom from afar. The ancestral gods are too merciful. If the two ancestral gods had joined forces, they could completely monopolize all the resources of the land of origin. These loner cultivators wouldn't even have the chance to grow. If Luo He were part of the imperial clan, he might have the potential to reach the ultimate realm. But as a loner cultivator, he's probably just another Earth God King at best. The godly kings of Thunder ancient country chatted casually, not really concerned. In terms of peak-level combat power, the two great imperial clans hold an absolute advantage. Luo Feng's talent and potential at most make the godly kings of Thunder ancient country take notice. On the land of origin, there are not many powerful beings that can attract their attention, but Luo Feng is now one of them. Last time, I invited him to enter my Two Realms palace, he didn't accept. No rush, he will feel the pressure of the two great imperial clans. In a regular city tavern, a man drinking smiled as he looked in the direction of Yu Kingdom, his aura completely ordinary, such that even emperors and monarchs would not notice anything special about him. Shadow Sky Realm. Sitting cross-legged inside a pavilion, a figure with long hair, whose power permeated the outside world, also sensed the overwhelming power of the world covering 12 primal chaos prefectures in Yu Kingdom. Luo he is gradually revealing his brilliance, murmured the long-haired figure. Luo Feng had once killed an envoy of the Shadow Sky Realm, and rather than being angry, the Lord of the Shadow Sky Realm was pleased. To possess the strength of the invincible first realm of a godly king right, after achieving godhood. Even I, when I first became a godly king, took over 1,000 eras to reach the invincible strength of the first realm of a godly king without external help. Luo his talent is truly terrifying. The more terrifying, the better. The powerful among us loner cultivators are still too weak, looked the long-haired figure towards Luo he. Luo he is still very weak, currently only at the threshold of an overlord level. He was pleased with Luo Feng's growth, yet he knew that Luo Feng was not yet at a level to interfere in their conflicts. Being invincible in the first realm of a godly king signifies one as an overlord of the land of origin, yet this is just the baseline for overlords. Like the Emperor of Tian Kuan, who is in the second realm of a godly king, and also cultivates the primordial bloodline, he is a proper overlord of one side, far more intimidating than Luo he. Shi Kingdom's capital, inside the royal palace. Luo he actually dares to intervene in a war between two nations. Wuxiang, the old ancestor, was furiously shocked as he gazed into the distance towards the horizon. Luo Feng's massive face covered more than 10 primal chaos prefectures. Even from within the Shi Kingdom's capital, he could still be seen clearly, thanks to the strength of a godly king. The 4 godly kings gazed from afar, shocked and pressured. The power that enveloped more than a dozen primal chaos prefectures already proved one point. Luo Feng's strength had indeed reached the overlord level. Big brother, he has driven out our dispatched Shi Kingdom troops. Wuxiang, the old ancestor, urgently asked, how should we respond? If we endure this, I'm afraid it would become a joke throughout the land of origin. Sitting there, the Emperor of Tian Kuan looked at the vast face in the sky and indifferently said, endure. This plan was devised by myself and some friends. Luo he alone cannot stop it. The 4 godly kings all breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing this. Big brother, what should we do next? The Demon Blade godly king asked. He is Emperor Qing's direct disciple, we still have to give him some face, the Emperor of Tian Kuan calmly said. Skull Peak, you excel in the clone technique. Send an avatar to meet Luo he. Tell Luo he to retreat quickly, and I can pretend nothing happened. If he continues to interfere with this matter, hinder us. I will make sure he pays a severe price and deeply regrets it. Yes, the Skull Peak godly king responded. Among all 5 godly kings of Shi Kingdom, only Skull Peak godly king excelled in the clone technique. Exactly, because of the clone technique, he had been invited by the Emperor of Tian Kuan to join them, as many matters suited the Skull Peak godly king to handle. This war, is it the will of the monarch and several godly kings at the second realm that should be informed to Luo he? Skull Peak godly king asked. Inform him, the Emperor of Tian Kuan indifferently said. To prevent him from acting foolishly. Yes, the confidence of Skull Peak godly king grew even stronger. The face of Luo Feng that enveloped more than 10 primal chaos prefectures, gazed towards the direction of the Shi Kingdom's capital. The noise he made with his intervention made various forces across the land of origin take notice. The godly kings of Sha Kingdom were definitely aware of it. Here it comes. Luo Feng sensed an apparition appearing in the wilderness, a golden skeletal figure that looked at Luo Feng with a smile. Skull Peak Godly King. Luo Feng recognized the other party. Skull Peak Godly King also practiced the great Tao of life origin, but his strength was far less than that of the ancestral god of the snow realm, let alone Luo Feng. Yet, he could still condense many skeletal avatars. The great Tao of life origin was just like that, although inferior in combat, it was much stronger in terms of survival. Luo He, Godly King. Skull Peak Godly King stood before Luo Feng, still very humble, and smilingly said, I do not know what promise the monarch of your country has given you, but I must clarify that the original intent of this war between two nations is not to annihilate your kingdom. Behind this war is the decision of my monarch, the Emperor of Tien Kuan, and several godly kings at the Second Realm. If you obstruct, you would offend not just my monarch, but also several others of the same level, Skull Peak Godly King said. I have come here also hoping that Luo He, Godly King, can understand the key point and withdraw early. My monarch will not pursue it further. Luo He, Godly King, and our Sha Kingdom can still be friends. Not pursue it further. Luo Feng said, the Emperor of Tien Kuan is indeed quite magnanimous. My monarch loves to make friends and likes to make friends with someone like Luo He, Godly King, Skull Peak Godly King said. Unfortunately, the monarch of Yushui is my good friend, Luo Feng, looking down from above, leisurely said. I have already promised the monarch of Yushui, and naturally, I won't break my word, betray a good friend. Upon hearing this, Skull Peak Godly King felt uneasy. This time, the entire Sha Kingdom troops will withdraw, and I can represent you kingdom in not pursuing this invasion. Luo Feng looked down, thus resolving this war. You won't pursue it? Skull Peak Godly King couldn't help saying, didn't Luo He, Godly King, understand? This is a joint decision made by my monarch and several friends. Are you sure you truly want to block it? I have promised the monarch of Yushui. I must see it through, Luo Feng said, looking down. Go back and tell the Emperor of Tien Kuan, you kingdom, I have secured it. Don't force me to act. Luo He, Godly King, I am kindly reminding you, yet you still refuse to repent, Skull Peak Godly King warned. I can tell you, if you persist alone, you will pay a heavy price. Then, you will deeply regret it. You also tell the Emperor of Tien Kuan, the moment he acts, he will also have to pay a severe price. Luo Feng coldly said. Very well, Skull Peak Godly King said. There's no need for this avatar to leave. Luo Feng gave him a cold look. The terrifying power of the world instantly converged, focusing on this avatar of Skull Peak Godly King, instantly crushing it to dust. Crushing a Godly King's avatar represented Luo Feng's attitude. Far in the Sha Kingdom's capital, the Emperor of Tien Kuan, who had been closely watching the whole negotiation process, felt his face grow utterly cold as Luo Feng crushed that avatar of Skull Peak Godly King. In the first realm of Godly King, almost reaching the threshold of a region's overlord, yet daring to be so arrogant, the Emperor of Tien Kuan stood up as the earth seemed to tremble. I will let him know what price he has to pay for ignoring my goodwill and still choosing to offend me. Boom. The Emperor of Tien Kuan instantly disappeared. Luo Feng's power of the world enveloped a total of 12 primal chaos prefectures. When the Emperor of Tien Kuan's body intended to enter this range, Luo Feng naturally detected it, and instinctively repelled and squeezed the other. The dense power of the world compressed against the Emperor of Tien Kuan, forcing him to reveal his form. An incredibly vast body appeared between heaven and earth. It had a pair of wings, each of unimaginable size, and a mouth as big as 1/3 of its body size. Blood-red eyes filled with murderous intent, a thick scale armored tail stretched across heaven and earth. When its wings were spread, they were 300 trillion kilometers in length. The thickness of its body alone was 50 to 60 trillion kilometers. This was already its smallest possible size, for if it grew any bigger, even the heavens and earth would seem too small. Primordial bloodline, Luo Feng observed this scene. The potential of the primordial bloodline was extremely high, even capable of escaping from the braided cage world. As a second realm godly king, the Emperor of Tien Kuan had deeply tapped into the potential of the primordial bloodline. This immense bodily prowess, although not comparable to the emperors and monarchs, already had a similar essence. Sigh. The giant face enveloping 12 primal chaos prefectures vanished, and a figure in silver stood in front of that colossal creature. Luo He, some actions come with a price, the colossal creature spoke, its voice causing the vast boundless heaven and earth to tremble. Let's see what you can do, whether it's me who pays the price, or you, Luo Feng calmly observed him. He admitted that the true body of the Emperor of Tien Kuan was more domineering and strong than his world life form. While they conversed, several ancient beings from afar were already watching the battle. Powerful beings, from within their cave mansions, could watch from afar. The weaker ones moved closer to the borders of Sha Kingdom and Yu Country. A confrontation between two overlords. The godly king from Bolu also arrived at Yu Country to get a clearer view of the battle. Luo He is still too confident. After all, he has only reached the threshold of the overlord level. The Emperor of Tien Kuan, on the other hand, has deep accumulations. This battle, Luo He might suffer a significant defeat. Luo Feng, the mountain-sitting guest, had also arrived from Thunder Ancient Country to the border of Sha Kingdom and Yu Country, watching from a distance. His power was somewhat weaker. In Thunder Ancient Country, he did not perceive Luo Feng's power of the world covering 12 primal chaos prefectures, but he kept up with the news about Luo Feng. So he was also aware of Luo Feng's fallout with Sha Kingdom. Becoming a godly king and acting hastily, why so rushed? The mountain-sitting guest thought. After all, the Emperor of Tien Kuan is at the second realm of a godly king. Luo Feng, if you broke through to the second realm, there would be no hurry to act. The mountain-sitting guest was very patient. He had waited such a long time, even thousands of years more wouldn't matter to him. Luo Feng might suffer a bit, but there's no danger to his life, the mountain-sitting guest reassured himself, intently watching the battle. The two ancient countries and many ancient existences were all focused on this battle. After all, there were only so many overlords in the whole land of origin, and a fight between two overlords was indeed rare. Ha ha ha, you really are confident. The huge body of the Emperor of Tien Kuan spoke, then it opened its gigantic mouth. This mouth made up 1/3 of its body size. Inside were dense, crisscrossing sharp teeth, followed by a terrifying roar. Roar! Black winds flew out of that gigantic mouth, instantly sweeping through heaven and earth. Hidden within those black winds were traces of grey currents, which even slightly startled Luo Feng. Is this the annihilation wind of the Emperor of Tien Kuan? Luo Feng had already collected detailed intelligence on the Emperor of Tien Kuan, and knew that once this annihilation wind was unleashed, it would destroy heavens and obliterate the earth, posing a great threat even to beings in the second realm of godly king. I shall see. Luo Feng's figure instantly enlarged, his feet planted on the ground, his head nearly touching the starry sky. Dressed in silver, Luo Feng stood still, the silver robe over his body naturally spread out, transforming into a silver canopy, actively intercepting the terrifying black wind. His the annihilation wind, derived by the Emperor of Tien Kuan from his mastery of the origin Tao of matter channeled through his primordial bloodline, had a corrosive and destructive nature. The moment it touched the silver canopy, though the canopy was resilient and filled with endless vitality, it still ended up with large holes eroded through it. Huff, huff. The annihilation wind, eroding and shattering the silver canopy, continued blowing towards Luo Feng. Whoosh 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 tilde tilde tilde. Although the silver robe was eroded, it naturally regenerated from nothingness, intercepting again and again, only to be blown into non-existence repeatedly. From the looks of it, the annihilation wind appeared more dominant. Yet, the silver robe spread out, filled with endless vitality, and was able to regenerate again and again. Besides, Luo Feng himself continually provided energy, resisting the annihilation wind. Finally, Luo Feng's robe, now perforated throughout, saw the annihilation wind finally exhausted. Just a robe blocked my annihilation wind. The Emperor of Tien Kuan, who made his first move, realized that his opponent was tough, his physical body and robe, both crafted from secret techniques. Extremely tough, and the vitality is exceedingly rich. The characteristic of practitioners of the great Tao of life origin is that they are very hard to completely annihilate. It seems as though they are destroyed, yet they can recover from nothingness. Emperor Chu, a destroyer of ultimate realm life forms, believed it would take 2 to 3 attacks to completely eliminate Luo Feng's avatar. It shows the tenacity of his vitality. Luo He, I just blew a breath, and your robe is already tattered. The Emperor of Tien Kuan's voice echoed through heaven and earth. Luo Feng's tattered robe naturally repaired itself, returning to its pristine condition. The annihilation wind of the Emperor of Tien Kuan is indeed quite powerful, Luo Feng praised. I wonder, do you have even more formidable moves? Let me test them. Then I shall satisfy you. The Emperor of Tien Kuan's blood-red eyes grew fiercer, and on his massive forehead a dazzling golden light suddenly gathered, shocking all onlookers the moment the light condensed. The Great Extinction Golden Light. The killing move of the Emperor of Tien Kuan. Being a greatly seasoned second realm godly king, the moves of the Emperor of Tien Kuan were well known to the outside world. The annihilation wind was just a common technique, but the Great Extinction Golden Light was the true killing move, one that even posed a threat to emperors and monarchs. The Emperor of Tien Kuan is going all out from the start, observed the mountain-sitting guest with some unease. This Great Extinction Golden Light, harnessing the might of the primordial bloodline, wreaks terrible destruction upon matter, enough to command respect from an emperor level. The divine power incarnation of the Emperor of Yushui also watched nervously. Luo He was acting on his behalf this time. The reputation of the Great Extinction Golden Light was well established. The moment the golden light emitted from the forehead of the Emperor of Tien Kuan, Luo Feng was too late to block and was instantly affected. Pu. The golden light struck Luo Feng's chest in an instant. Luo Feng only felt his body rumble, the golden light merging instantly into his body, wantonly and wildly destroying everything. The fundamental structure of his world life form was constantly being annihilated. Although it was being annihilated, it was also struggling to recover. But the destructiveness was too terrible, and it soon completely annihilated the vitality of the fundamental matter. Hiss hiss hiss. The majestic, towering, silver-clad figure of Luo Feng showed countless golden patterns emerging on its surface, eroding and annihilating his body even as he continued to regenerate it. My Great Extinction Golden Light, formed from the concentration of primordial bloodline, clearly has the upper hand. But his body is like a world, containing too vast an energy. The Emperor of Tien Kuan realized the tenacity of Luo He. Godly kings could easily reach heights equal to heaven and earth. So from the surface, it was difficult to clearly judge just how vast the energy reserves in this avatar of Luo Feng were. Emperor Chu, as a life form that had reached the ultimate realm, had much sharper senses. The senses of the Emperor of Tien Kuan were much inferior, only able to judge accurately through combat. One Great Extinction Golden Light can only destroy about 1% of his body. The Emperor of Tien Kuan felt a chill in his heart. But I can at most emit 10 Great Extinction Golden Lights, if I exhaust myself. Although he still had several killing moves, the Emperor of Tien Kuan could deduce that he was unable to annihilate this body. Those who cultivate the great Tao of life origin, though their life force is tenacious, typically evade and use avatars to preserve their lives in my presence. Few dare to resist my moves head-on. The Emperor of Tien Kuan reflected, but this Luo he dares to resist my moves. I can feel that his physical body, apart from containing many mysteries of the great Tao of life, also contains the mysteries of the origin Tao of matter, making it so tough and difficult to annihilate. The Emperor of Tien Kuan, being a practitioner of the origin Tao of matter himself, could even more certainly recognize this. Emperor of Tien Kuan, do you have even more powerful moves? Luo Feng, in his towering silver attire, with its numerous golden patterns still eroding him, bore it calmly and fearlessly. This Luo he is merely relying on having a sufficiently massive life form to withstand the attack. The Emperor of Tien Kuan also had experience dealing with such massive life forms. The larger the life form, the greater the strain on the soul and spiritual will. Being barely able to manipulate it was already good. It simply couldn't employ subtle techniques. Luo he. The Emperor of Tien Kuan looked at Luo Feng. This clumsy body is what you rely on. I will now flatten your Huyang city, and I want to see if you can stop me. Whoosh! The Emperor of Tien Kuan moved, appearing enormously vast yet astonishingly fast, traveling between heaven and earth, heading straight for Huyang city. He intended to exploit his advantage in the finesse of his moves, making Luo Feng pay the price. Flatten Huyang city. Luo Feng's face turned cold. Whoosh! With a step, Luo Feng merged into the world and instantly appeared right in front of the Emperor of Tien Kuan. Cut! Luo Feng raised his right hand high, despite the golden light eroding his body. Power converged in his right hand, a terrifying aura of life and death gathering in his palm. Using his hand as a blade. Slash! Luo Feng's right hand chopped down, the vast power contained within the world life form fully concentrated within this blade light, which, while highly concentrated, also embodied the eerie essence of cutting off all vitality. This, the Emperor of Tien Kuan had not expected that Luo he, even in such a massive life form, could still execute such a subtle technique. He didn't know that, managing to wield 1/1000th of the energy reserves in an avatar, Luo Feng could perform his most intricate techniques. If the avatar managed even more, growing larger, the techniques he could use would only become cruder. Were he to deploy the true body of the world life form, every movement would be incredibly cumbersome. But at this moment, the technique Luo Feng was using was one of his killing moves that merged life and death, life cutting. The blade light traveled in darkness, seemingly non-existent in reality, and in an instant had already cleaved deep into the body of the Emperor of Tien Kuan, slicing in silently. Luo Feng stood at a distance, the golden lines on his body slowly fading, the great extinction golden light gradually exhausting itself. Emperor of Tien Kuan, how was that move? Luo Feng looked at the other. This video will end here.